Hello! I'm still not 100% sure what the hell happened last time around, but hopefully we'll be able to avoid any such interruptions this time around. So anyway, let's get to the nitty-gritty and bring you more randomness straight from my crazy little head. And since I've been dealing with too much shit lately, let's delve into something good for once. And let me tell you something, there are a few things I consider to be quite as good as a little game from 1997 known simply as the Neverhood. And as surely as there are stars in the sky, I fucking love this game! Right from when I first read about it in magazines at the time, I knew this was something you see only once in a lifetime. Magazines, like the good old Software Hits for instance, a Dutch PC gaming magazine I used to be subscribed to way back in the day. Maybe not the best one around, but it certainly was informative, and it always had a certain charm to it. But I digress. The question that's on your lips right now is, of course, so what is this Neverhood thing anyway? Well, sit back and let Uncle Akago educate you. Back in the 80s, Earthworm Jim, created to be Ducked and April, did an art show entitled A Beautiful Day in the Neverhood, which years later inspired him to create a full-blown game out of the concept. He pitched his idea to none other than Steven Spielberg himself over at DreamWorks Interactive, and the rest is history. Doug and his team, collectively known as the Neverhood, then got to work in making his vision a reality, and the end result is nothing less than a thing of beauty. Of course, all that still doesn't really answer your question of what the Neverhood really is. Basically, the point of the game is to answer that very question. As the game starts, you wake up with no idea of who you are, where you are, and why you're there. The only thing you do know is that your name is Clayman, and thus, in grand Myst tradition, you go about exploring this massive world around you known as the Neverhood, in a mix of first-person outdoor and third-person indoor scenes. The Neverhood is a world of beauty and mystery, full of bizarre creatures, complex machines, surreal sights, mind-numbing puzzles, but most importantly and strangely of all, no other people besides yourself. Aside from a few quirky and/or unsociable types you'll encounter here and there.
Oh, it's you! Hi! Go away!
One of your main goals as you go stomping about the Neverhood is to collect klay discs, spread out all over the entire Neverhood, which can be inserted into klay video players. Each disc contains a small clip of the complete story behind the Neverhood, as narrated by a quirky fellow named Willie Trombone, so you'll need to collect all 20 of them to know the whole truth, and your part in it all. There's also a massive, and I mean massive, amount of backstory in the form of the Hall of Records, basically the Neverhood Bible, which contains a detailed history of the game's universe, its gods, kings, planets, and lots more, spread out over no less than 38 screens. It's not necessary to read all of it to understand the story, or to finish the game, and believe me, I haven't, but you do need to traverse every single screen, back and forth, all in order to collect a single klay disc at the end. That always blew my mind. And you thought playing Dance Dance Revolution was exhausting. Most of the time, however, in yet another grand Myst tradition, you're going to be solving puzzles. Lots and lots of puzzles are going to be impeding your progress, from basic slider puzzles to a full-blown game of memory, and more advanced stuff still. Solving these often requires finding clues or items from other sources, and those can sometimes be in some very random places. This is definitely a game you'll need to play with pen and paper within reach, as you'll constantly be taking notes from random clues strewn about, as well as odd symbols that are sure to be important somewhere else. The inventory system in the game can be very annoying sometimes, however, because basically there isn't one. Whenever Clayman collects an object, he will automatically store it in his bottomless chest cavity, and will automatically pull it out again and use it when necessary. But here's the problem. There's no way to see what Clayman is currently carrying, and most of the stuff you find is so vague and nondescript that you have no idea what it is or what it's for. Would you ever figure out on your own that this is a water glass? Buttons and switches are commonplace in the Neverhood as well, but you often have no idea what they do even after using them, since you find out they often control something in a totally different location, and thus their function can only be figured out through trial and error. There's also a few annoying and unusual mazes in the form of these scenes, where Clayman rides a set of grooves in a wall through a nifty little transport, which need to be explored to every last nook and cranny in order to find several clues. Should you get totally stuck, however, you can always consult the mailroom, where Willie Trombone will send you letters containing hints regarding the latest conundrum, or just exchange some funny banter if you keep going through every single letter he sends. Overall, however, the puzzles are well designed, challenging, and most satisfying to solve. Where the game really shines, however, is in the art department. Can you name any game, any other game at all, that uses claymation? Well, aside from Clay Fighter and Primal Rage, but who gives a crap about those games anyway? Good claymation is seen far too rarely in gaming, albeit for good reason, as the making of video included in the game, and basically the game itself shows, a ton of work went into creating the various sets, models and characters, but not to mention 3.5 tons of clay. The end result is still unparalleled in its unique, surreal beauty. Complementing it is the game's excellent sense of humor, as Clayman is not the most conventional of heroes, or the most dignified. Slapstick is prevalent throughout the game, as well as some darker humor. Clayman even has a few very creative and funny idle animations if you let him stand around long enough. Possibly the absolute best part of the game, however, is the music. Composed by rock musician and frequent Doug to Naples collaborator Terry Scott Taylor, the Neverhood soundtrack is a hilarious and incredible mix of guitar riffs, bizarre vocals, lyrics and scatting, and overall one of the most unique soundtracks in all of gaming, and it most definitely enhances the game's atmosphere enormously. What puzzles me, however, is that there is actually an option in the main menu to turn the music off. Why would anyone do that? Depriving yourself of the best part of the game like that'd be like listening to this.
Sound effects record number 32. Man reading. Man relaxing.
If you dare to turn off the music in this game, in my book that means you have no soul. The game has 2 different endings, although both depend simply on what decision you make at the very end, so it doesn't matter what you do throughout the game. There is a 3rd ending, however, if you can call it that. The game's manual explicitly mentions there is only one place where you can die, and it is clearly marked, and they're not kidding. After draining a lake and falling down, you'll come across the drain where all the water flowed out, surrounded by signs urging you that whatever you do not jump down or you will die. So of course the first thing you do is jump down. But of course, as I said, they weren't kidding. Diabolically devious. Well, that's all I can tell you about this particular game without getting into spoiler territory. But can you believe that there was actually a sequel? I sure couldn't until I found out firsthand. Entitled Skull Monkeys and released exclusively for PlayStation in 1998, it's a highly unorthodox sequel in that it's not even the same kind of game as its predecessor. Rather than being another Myst-style puzzle-based adventure game, Skull Monkeys goes in a wholly different direction, that of a basic 2D side-scrolling platform game. What were they thinking? That's like if the next King's Quest game would be a 3D action RPG. Wait. Fortunately, despite this change, it still retains a lot of the original's look and feel, thanks to the claymation cutscenes and more of Terry Taylor's fantastic tunes, including what many people have declared to be the single most hilarious track in a video game, the Lil Bonus Room.
Here's a little bonus room, 'cause I know you've had it tough. And here's a little bonus tune about collecting real cool stuff.
Nonetheless, the decision to change gears like this is still incredibly disappointing, and part of the reason I still haven't played through it. And so ends my look at the Neverhood, one of the most unique games of all time and consequently one of my all-time favorites. If you haven't played it yet, then what the hell are you waiting for? You should at the very least go pick up the official soundtrack, which is still being sold online, if you haven't already. I'm Amayirot Akago, and we'll be seeing each other out there some... Ugh! It's not the fudge that I'm rather chewing on my flesh, it's the goddamn phone. Hello?
Hello, Akago. Remember me?
You know, when we first decided to make a video game using a bunch of clay and sets, I was really excited because that sounded like a fun thing to begin on. So we brought in some carpenters and they started building these wood sets, and I wanted to help, but I had to set up a network and write some animation tools for the artists. But then they started playing the set, and I thought, yeah, it's going to be fun. But I had to write a sound engine for the game and work on some of the first-person puzzles. And before I knew it, everything was built, and they filmed everything, and I hadn't gotten to have any fun. Just the artists had fun. The programmers, we worked in our offices. But they got to use computers. In fact, this is Doug's computer right here. He used it every day. He got to use computers and play with clay. I was stuck using computers. Well, Mr. Doug Nagel, this is what I think about that. Oh man. Oh man. Oh man.
Reaction.